Welcome to day 28, where we dive into a fascinating chapter from the book of Genesis, namely chapters 46 to 47. We're exploring Jacob's journey to Egypt, the famine that led him there, and the faith that guided him.
Absolutely. It's a story full of emotion, resilience, and God's promises. At the beginning of chapter 46, we see Jacob, now called Israel, journeying with all his possessions to Beersheba, where he offers sacrifices to God. What's interesting here is how this moment marks a pivotal point in his life.
Right, it's not just any journey. Jacob's been through so much already, and this moment feels like a culmination of everything. His fears, hopes, and dreams. Then God speaks to him in the night, calling him by name. Jacob, Jacob! And he reassures him not to be afraid of going to Egypt.
That's a powerful moment. You can almost feel the weight of God's voice. Calming Jacob's fears, God promises not only that he will be with him, but also that he'll turn him into a great nation in Egypt. It's incredible how faith becomes a source of strength during moments of uncertainty, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's almost like God's telling Jacob, you're not just going into Egypt to survive, you're going with a purpose. The mention of Joseph's hand closing his eyes is also so moving. It's a moment of assurance that Jacob's journey will have peace, even in the end.
And let's talk about how Jacob brings everyone with him, his sons, daughters, and all their families. It's not just about one person, it's about a whole family being part of this divine plan.
Yeah, it's a family journey. The names of the children of Israel who enter Egypt are listed, and it's a lot to take in. It's a reminder of the legacy being carried on through generations, with 70 people in total making the move to Egypt. What strikes me is the mix of blessings, both practical and spiritual, that Jacob is passing on to his descendants.
Absolutely. And then we see Jacob's encounter with Pharaoh. The way Pharaoh asked Jacob about his age and Jacob's response, it's so human. Jacob says, "The years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. The days of my life have been few and evil."
It really highlights how Jacob views his life. He's reflecting on the hardships he's faced. Despite the tough moments, though, he's still here. And even in his frailty, he blesses Pharaoh. There's so much wisdom in how Jacob remains humble yet resilient.
And then Joseph, who is really the bridge in all of this, gets to bring his family into the land of Goshen, the best part of Egypt. Pharaoh even offers to let them manage his livestock if they're able. It's a complete shift from famine to provision.
Joseph's leadership shines here, and it's remarkable how Pharaoh sees him as someone trustworthy to manage this important task. And what about the role of the Egyptians in all this? When the famine continues, Joseph manages to feed the people through the exchange of livestock and, eventually, land.
That's a tough exchange, isn't it? The people give up their land and livestock for food, which shows how dire the situation really is. The famine doesn't just affect Egypt, but Canaan as well. But Joseph's actions provide relief. The way he manages the crisis with such a calculated approach is impressive.
For sure. Joseph doesn't just give them food. He essentially reorganizes the entire economy, purchasing all the land for Pharaoh, except for the priest's land. It's almost as if he's establishing a new order to ensure the survival of the people.
It's also fascinating how Joseph's actions lead to the creation of a system where Pharaoh receives a fifth of the harvest, while the people are allowed to keep the rest for themselves. That shows a balance between practicality and generosity.
And even though this might seem like a hard bargain for the Egyptians, they acknowledge it with gratitude. They say, "You have saved our lives." It's a powerful statement about Joseph's role, not just as a ruler, but as a savior for his people during the crisis.
Joseph is really a symbol of God's providence here, acting as an instrument of God's plan for his people. And then there's the emotional part of the story. As Jacob grows older, he knows his time is near, and he makes Joseph swear that he won't bury him in Egypt, but will carry his body back to the land of his ancestors.
That's such a touching moment. Jacob's final wish is symbolic. It's like he's making sure the covenant with God continues, even beyond his death. He knows Egypt is not their final home. The land of Canaan is their true inheritance.
It's a beautiful moment of closure. Jacob, even in his final days, is acting in faith, trusting in the promise that God made to him. And Joseph, though he's a powerful leader in Egypt, honors his father's wishes and swears to take him back.
It's the perfect culmination of Jacob's journey, faithful until the very end. And in a way, it mirrors the larger journey of the Israelites. They're in Egypt now. But God's promise to them is much bigger than this temporary home. They are still heading toward the land of promise.
It's such a profound story of faith, survival, and God's ongoing plan. Even when things seemed bleak, God was guiding every step of the way from Jacob's vision in the night to the great nation that would come from his descendants.
Exactly. And it makes you think about our own journeys. Even when things seem uncertain, how often are we also carried through by faith, by promises yet to be fulfilled? Jacob's story isn't just ancient history. It's a reminder of God's ongoing faithfulness in our lives.
Absolutely. And we can also take away the importance of family, of legacy. Jacob's family wasn't just a group of people. They were part of a larger divine story, a story that would unfold over generations.
It's true. And as we finish today's episode, maybe we should ask ourselves, what legacy are we leaving? What part of God's story are we playing today?
A question worth thinking about. That's all for today's episode. Thank you for joining us as we explored Jacob's journey to Egypt. We'll see you next time for as we wrap up the book of Genesis.
Until next time, stay faithful, stay curious, and keep learning. God bless.